Hi guys, this is Sharp Roses. Welcome to my channel, and today I want to talk about the Kendrick Lamar halftime show. Yes, it is well over a month and the show is over. Everybody's talked about it, everybody said their piece, but I just wanted to talk about it because I talked about him at the Grammys, and I talked about him and his work wife and the correlation between them two and their like shows and their art. And after watching the halftime show over and over again, of course there's obvious similarities with the Americana, but like I really wanted to dive deep a little bit and have my own perspective, share my own perspective on what happened and what I got out of the halftime show. I also watched recently the NFL, their behind the scenes of the halftime show. Like the only time they've ever given a behind the scenes of any halftime show, probably only time they'll ever give a behind the scenes of any halftime show ever again. So it was amazing the way they were able to put that show together so quickly. Real quick, I wanted to say, it's so cool that he did a halftime show that was mainly based around his album that was just released like 2 months prior to that, like really less than about 2 months prior to that, from his own label. And I feel like that is so significant. Like whether people like the show or not, it's very significant that he put out that album and then did majority of that album during his halftime show performance. I feel like that might be a little bit of the reason why people say they didn't like it, because they didn't know a lot of those songs instead of just doing a melody. Like that was very smart of him to do, very Beyonce of him to do. Use that big performance as a, as the biggest commercial of your own company and your own upcoming tour, like his work wife would do. That was very smart. So anyway, let's get into the show. Let me talk about what stands out to me and what I liked about the show. It starts off with Uncle Sam, played by Samuel L. Jackson. Immediately when I saw that and I saw the theme, and then I realized who was playing, I immediately thought of the Rocky movie. But I didn't even know anything about the score or anything like that. I just watched the halftime show performance. And as soon as I saw him and I thought of the Rocky movie, because the Eagles were playing, I was like, the Eagles are going to win. And I was right. I didn't even know that, the score was like 20-something to nothing or whatever it was. Like during halftime show, the Chiefs had 0. But just seeing that, I was like, the Eagles are going to win. I don't know why, but it just made me think of that. Samuel L. Jackson did great. He did great, all of his parts. And that was amazing. And history was made that night. Then I love the intro, and someone had a great shot. Like there were so many pictures and videos and stuff like that of the halftime show being shared, but one of the ones where I guess a photographer got the part where he was on top of the car in the beginning of the performance and the spotlight was on him. That's beautiful. Like that should be on like a cover, or they should make a poster out of that picture. That was amazing. And then the stage presence was amazing. Like between him and the dancers, the stage design was amazing. I love the simplicity of it. Some people saying it was too simplistic. I don't think so. I feel like it was complex in the right parts. He's a rapper. First of all, he's a rapper. And I love that it wasn't super over the top theatrical with a bunch of craziness everywhere at once. Like he was mainly focused on his lyrics and getting his point across, which I loved. And he had a story to tell, and he told that story with the dancers and his lyrics, and it was beautiful. It was a great story that he put together. Let's talk about his stage presence and his breath control. Amazing. Like I said, he definitely is, the work husband to Beyonce for sure. And like I said, the similarities in their like messaging and their costume design and like the theme of the Americana and everything like that, that's amazing. I would like to hear another collab like song from them again, and another like collab performance from them. And it also makes me think of like Beyonce's show during the Christmas halftime show, where like how his set was like dancers mainly and his lyricism, and it was like simple, but like the stages were like complex in a way. He knew how to make a very little look like a lot because of the shots that he was getting. He was changing the angles, and the shots made it look like so much was going on, especially when he was changing from stage to stage and was changing multiple angles. It was amazing. that same type of thing made me think of Beyonce's show during the Christmas special, the Christmas halftime show, when she knows how to make a lot look like very little, because again, the focus of the camera and the way she's able to focus and get certain shots, because a lot was going on that field, so much stuff was moving on that field, but because she knows how to focus the camera on certain segments, it didn't look like so much until she was ready to give out wide shots, and then it looked like way more. It was a lot going on. Then you had, Breath Control, the Americana theme. What I love most about both their shows back to back. Let's talk about what I love most about both their shows back to back. I feel like Beyonce's was like a little black girl's dream in front of America, you know, living out her dream, and like his was like a little black boy's dream, you know. And what I love most about both their shows is like it was two black people like having fun but being the main character, you know what I mean? And I feel like that's the reason why, other than racism, I feel like there's a piece of it where like white people are centered in this world, like they're centered in this country especially, and I feel like you could tell that they are not used to not being centered. And it was so cool like how they were just like, you know, it was interesting watching like white people be background characters to their lives and be background characters to their dreams, and that was just so funny. I didn't get or see a lot of hate for them on my timeline, but I heard it was happening. But it's very interesting. It was very funny. And then I loved how people were complaining, right? So people were complaining and saying like he didn't do a lot of big hits. He did do a lot of big hits. He did the hits that are world known, like worldwide. You know what I'm saying? Like, if you didn't know anything about Kendrick Lamar, you've heard those couple of songs. Like, you've heard All the Stars, you've heard Humble, and I forget what other one, but you've heard those songs that he's done. Like, even if you didn't know him, you know those songs. So I love that, like, those songs were like a reminder to people that were like, you know, that didn't know anything about him at all. They're like I didn't know he did that song. I didn't know that was him. You know what I mean? And I love, again, that it was all GNX songs, most of it, because first of all, they're great. It's a great album. Shout out to Cali. You know what I'm saying? I'm a little biased, and it just felt like a love letter to like California, and I loved it, everything about it. And it definitely cured a little bit of my homesickness for sure, but I just love all of the Cali sounds and stuff like that or whatever, and it was just great. And like I said, it was an advertisement to his upcoming tour and to him as a person, you know what I'm saying? He's a black guy from Southern California, and this type of music, the sound of the album is like just the type of music and the themes that we all grew up on, you know what I'm saying? So it was definitely dope for sure. And again, like, that's off of his label, PG Lang, and I feel like that's amazing in itself for him to advertise his company and his album that's released from his company before the head of his tour, you know what I'm saying, and give people big hits that they know of while introducing them to who he is as a person. That was very smart. And then, of course, you know, with All the Stars was tearing up for sure. The whole Chadwick situation, tearing up for sure. The Not Like Us situation, I love how he teased it. I love that he teased it a couple of times and then went into something else, which was smooth. The transitions were so fucking smooth and effortless. Like, that's what I mean. Like, the stage, he made a simple stage seem like so much. I love every little bit of it. The Not Like Us situation, I wish that part about it wasn't so big. Like, so many people were talking about that one song. I feel like his performance is not going to be appreciated until like a few years later, after the whole Not Like Us thing dies down. But I love how the whole discord around him and the whole Drake thing has gotten younger people interested into listening and actually giving Kendrick's music a chance. So that's a good thing that came out of it. But I do wish that the whole Not Like Us thing was not so big, because there was so much more to the performance that was going on than just the whole beef song. But I love that he brought Serena Williams out. It was definitely, you know, the shade of like killing two birds with one stone, bringing her out, and then also she's also from Compton, and then also her doing the dance, the Crip Walk, and, you know, her not being able to, or being heavily criticized for doing said thing, you know what I'm saying? So that was amazing, you know what I'm saying, for her to show her culture after being retired. It was for her for sure. She was killing two birds with one stone while, you know, representing her culture and where she was from. That was amazing. her, 10 seconds of being on camera was really amazing. She's stuck it to everybody, okay? To everybody. And then I really loved hold on real quick. I loved what was so funny. So people were saying like some people were saying it was too militant and too revolutionary, and other people were saying it wasn't revolutionary enough. So a while back, like, of course, right after the Super Bowl happened, like Josh Johnson, the comedian, he did like a segment about it. And I love in his segment, while making, fun of everything and all that, making jokes and stuff, he made a great point where he was like, you're never going to find revolution in entertainment. You know what I'm saying? Like, you can be inspired, but you're never going to find revolution in entertainment. And I 1000% agree. Like, yes, Kendrick has strong opinions about things, and he's going to express those in his work and in his music, but he is not a revolutionary. He is not an activist. And I love that Josh Johnson pointed that out. Like, for people who were saying that he wasn't doing enough with his performance, like, why are you expecting that from an artist? Clearly he chose his career and going home to his family over being an activist. Is something completely different than being an artist. Yes, an activist could be an artist, or an artist can be an activist or whatever, but they're not mutually exclusive. That doesn't, just because you have strong opinions about things don't make you an activist. It doesn't automatically make you an activist. So I don't know why people were expecting him to like lead a revolution or something like that after that, when he's already a part of the machine, and he's chosen to be a part of the machine for a long time now. Like, you could express your art and everything like that, but no. So it's funny how some people were saying it was too militant, and then the whole Palestine flag and stuff like that, which pieces of his performance and a lot of the things like he's passionate about, he has touched on in his music, police brutality, of course, and stuff like that, and systematic racism and systematic oppression he's touched on and everything. And then to have like the person in the back with the getting chased down by security with the Sudan flag, it just, you know what I mean, it's so amazing like how all of that like came together. That was funny. But then I love the Mustard whole segment, like turn the TV off song. But I love how they introduced Mustard, and shout out to all the producers, you know what I'm saying, that's ever produced. And a lot of them don't get the recognition that they deserve, especially in hip hop. Like, you got your popular producers, but a lot of them that are the main popular ones is because sometimes, a lot of the time, they're featured on the song. You know what I'm saying? Like, yes, they have great beats, don't get me wrong, but a lot of the times it's like they're featured on the song. You know them because you're heard in the background, or they might have a verse or two on the track or whatever. But I love how he gave like the producer or whatever like that moment. That was so cool. And then I think I watched T-Pain's reaction, because he's a producer, but he's a producer, that's also an artist. Like I said, like a lot of times producers, they'll get a lot of their recognition because either they're on the track or they become artists themselves. And so watching T-Pain's reaction to it and everything like that was so cool, because it's like him being a producer and knowing how hard it is and stuff like that, and getting that recognition was so cool. And then also watching his reaction, he was like, he didn't think that he could come up with a whole 13-minute melody. And it's just like, sir, first of all, I watched your BET melody performance. You can definitely come up with a whole 13-minute halftime show performance. Like, T-Pain could definitely come up with a whole 13-minute halftime show performance. And honestly, he wouldn't even be able to put all of his hits in that 13 minutes. His BET melody was amazing, you know what I'm saying? So for him to like scale that up and to have like a good what do you call those people, a stage director or choreographer or whatever, performer, choreograph, whatever, choreograph him a good show, he would and then he dances too. So he sings and he dances, so he would have a great show. Like, I don't know why he was down himself or whatever, but anyway, that's half of that or whatever. And then, okay, so I had like a little bit of conspiracy, because I always have like a little bit of conspiracy in there or whatever. But like the Grammys, I feel like, you know what I'm saying, like, okay, so very closely related. Well, the music industry, period, right? They have their hands in everything. But like, I just feel like they're owned by like the same people. And so I feel like they're closely related with the halftime show and the Grammys. And Kendrick winning, and not saying that he didn't deserve it. He definitely deserved his awards, and he deserved a spot at the halftime show. And then, again, the whole beef situation and the spectacle of it. But I feel like their label, I think it's UMG or something like that, the label of Kendrick and Drake, I feel like had a little bit to do with him, you know what I'm saying, like the whole spectacle of the performance and him winning so many Grammys about this song, about this one song, because Drake sued. I feel like it got a little, it's organic on its own because people just like drama. I feel like that part is organic. People like drama. People want to see the beef. People want to see all of that. But I feel like there's a piece of it that is a little bit, you know what I'm saying, added a little sprinkle, you know, fuel on the fire, because Drake suing his label. And I feel like they were like, listen, we're just gonna have to, you know, take it even further now. You know what I'm saying? You know, into this whole beef situation, because how dare you? You know, I think that has a little bit of something to do with it. And then recently, his label responding to his lawsuit and them bringing up all the claims of him talking to underage girls and him making statements about how rap shouldn't be used in lawsuits, but then here he is making a lawsuit about rap and all this other stuff. So I just find it interesting. And again, I wish the beef wasn't so much of the performance itself, because the performance itself was definitely art. It was definitely art. Him being able to, like I said, perform majority of his album that was released only months before, I don't feel like people are going to appreciate that until after he's on tour, after the tour is over. And then probably, like I said, years later, people are going to look back on that performance. The performance now, right now, already has over 105 million views. I think it's like over 107 million views. 107 million views and still counting. And it's been a month later. It was more than just a, you know, beef. You know what I'm saying? It was very poetic. And I feel like Beyonce's performance also was very poetic. And I wish people had a few more think pieces a little bit about like how those performances are so like closely related. What I got from it was, like I said, black boy joy and black girl joy. And I loved the theme of them living out their dreams. White America being background characters to them living out their dreams, you know what I'm saying? And I love that for them, and to show that it is possible, you know what I mean? So with that being said, that's my rant about the halftime show performance. I'm happy that I was finally able to get my thoughts out about this performance. You guys let me know what you guys thought about this performance. Let me know what you guys also want to see on this channel, and I'll hit you guys in the next one.